All right, hey there, and welcome back to part 2 of our Animated-Diff adventure here. So last time we looked at the GUI, which allows us to do stuff pretty easy. Now we're going to look at the workflow, and I know you look at this and it's like, oh Lord. But you know what? I'm going to walk you through how to use this. It's actually pretty fulfilling, and I'll explain every part of this. We're going to look at some different depth maps, how to use stuff like these images down here, where to get them, and how to do all of this. So this is actually pretty easy once you get going, but you do have to learn some of the basic buttons. So we're going to jump into that here real quick, and it's going to be real in depth, so follow along. We'll go everything step by step. But in the meantime, first go ahead, and I do appreciate it. Like the channel, share it with people, shout it to the nations, let them know about Get Going Fast, because I think you guys agree with me. This is pretty fulfilling stuff, and the more people that we get involved in this, the better it is for all of us. So go ahead and share that. I do appreciate that. As well, we are on this monetization journey, which means that if we can get this to a certain place, I can just be spending time creating more videos for you, getting better and better stuff, and that would just be great. So one of the things they have granted us is the ability to buy super stickers. Yo, so if you really appreciate this video, like beyond just sharing it and liking it, you can go spend like $2-3 and send a little thank you. That'll put, you know, $1.25 in my pocket. So do appreciate that. So we're going to jump into this with the ComfyUI workflow. It does come, I'm going to have another video to show you how to set all this up yourself, but this does come for the Get Going Fast fellers packaged along with the graphical user interface. So for members, you go in there, you can get the graphical user interface to get going, and you're going to get this workflow as well as all part of the package, because you guys are fantastic, and so you deserve it. All right, well, let's move forward here and get to the getting good. Yo. Alrighty, so first thing we're going to do, as usual, is we're going to pop on over to our the Patreon site. So that is patreon.com/cognibuild. Okay, and you're going to scroll just down here, go to the member software, and you're going to find this picture of the dog. If you just want to get the workflow, this is for prairie dogs. This is like, even you can just get it by itself, but you're just going to download the ComfyUI workflow. Otherwise, if you're a farmhand member, then you're going to go ahead and be able to just grab this, and it has both the GUI and the workflow. Regardless, you got to get this down, okay? Okay, so then we're just going to go ahead and download it into our folder. Now, you're going to get a zip file. It looks like this. Just extract it, and these 3 files are going to pop out. Actually, you'll have another one here as well. Hold on, let's just... you'll have one, this run Animated-Diff as well. Okay, so you'll have these files. If you have not installed, this folder will not exist. Okay, so then you just click the install, and then you'll follow the instructions. It'll download ComfyUI, all that. If you already do have it installed, just make sure that you have this folder here, and inside of that folder is your main Comfy thing. Okay, then you're just going to go ahead and run it. It's going to ask you if you want to install the models, because what we're doing is we're downloading particular models that we need for this to work. So just make sure that if you have it installed, you'll know if it's correct, 'cause you'll have this ComfyUI Python embedded and update. Just make sure that's inside of a folder called ComfyUI Windows Portable. Okay, not the most convenient, I know, but if you install fresh from the thing, it will create this. If you don't have it, just create that folder and then put everything in it. Okay, so you click the install. It's going to go ahead and it's going to download all your models. It's going to put them all into here. You're going to get several of them. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and click on this one that says, we're going to click on this one that says run NVIDIA GPU.bat. Okay, so you just click it. All right, and let me see if I've already got mine up and running. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do it. We're going to click that. Then you're going to see that it pops over here to the screen. It's going to start loading it. Okay. Now with the GUI, you don't have to do this because it's a standalone Python thing that just uses the Comfy folders. This one, we're actually loading the server. Okay. So you can see it's going to come up, it's going to load it all up, and then it's going to, hold on, it flipped out my screen there for a second. It's going to just actually open up straight to your browser. If it doesn't for some reason, this is the URL that you can use. Okay, so we're going to pop over to our browser where it loaded. Now, notice I got a sign there that said some things were missing. If that happens, for whatever reason, it shouldn't, but if it doesn't, you're going to notice you have this little thing over here. Okay, so all we do, let me move myself out of the way so you can see a little bit better. Okay, we're just going to click this manager button. Okay, and that's going to bring up this called the ComfyUI manager node. Okay, this is part of the pre-install that we already did. So all we're going to do is click on this where it says install missing custom nodes. Okay, it's going to bring up this other screen, and you'll see that if there is an issue, you'll see this is the issue. So we're going to just click this try fix. Okay, and then this depth crafter nodes. I'm not certain why it's there, but I'll go ahead and make sure that that should be fine. But you just click install. The bottom line is it's real easy. You click the install missing custom nodes and it will show you whatever you might need. Then you go ahead and click this restart button. Okay, it's going to give you a message you want to reboot the server, and you just click yes. Okay, so if we go back to our command prompt, you'll see that it's actually going through all this again. It's downloading some stuff it needs. Now, this is pretty key to using ComfyUI. ComfyUI uses what are called nodes. So it's like somebody says, okay, I'm going to create something that people can use for a certain purpose, and they package it in what's called a node. So you use that package, that node manager, okay, to download these things, and then you restart it. So what we're doing here is a really good exercise because you're going to be doing that all the time. Okay, so now watch. We're going to pop back over to our browser, and we're going to make sure that you can actually see it. And you're going to notice everything's hunky-dory again. Okay, so welcome to the workflow. Okay, you're going to see we've got some purple stuff over here. We're going to deal with this later. If you have, these are called nodes. Okay, and I've grouped them into specific groups, so that they're the things that work together. And if you see something that's purple, you're going to notice that what that means is it's an overpass. It's not going to use it. Okay, and the reason it's not using it right now is because these are all our ControlNet stuff that we're going to later on use, more advanced stuff. Right now, the way this is set up, you'll see I'm going to use my mouse to scroll in so I can see. Everything here is going to be running off of this prompt. So as I explained before, everything runs like wires. So we set our width, we set our height. I've got these set really low so they'll go fast. You can turn those up just by clicking the arrow or sliding. You can see that those go up into this thing, and then these things run over to here to give information. This box over here is where all of our heavy lifting is going to be done. This is actually where stuff's going to be being generated. So basically this is taking the settings, putting it into here, and it's combining it into a way that this can use it. Okay, here we're same thing. We got our width, height, number of frames. Over here we're going to see these are our models that we're able to use, and you can click the arrows. Oh, this is our Animated-Diff model. So you only have one there, but same thing. It's going to go up into here, which is going to go down to here, which we're going to follow this purple thing, going to go up to here. So see, everything's kind of funneling over to here. Our checkpoints are our different models that we're going to be using. Okay, so same thing. These things are going to go down here. Notice they go to our prompt. Okay, now our prompt, we can move this out of the our prompt is actually going to go over to this, but it's going to skip this. It doesn't need to use any of this, so it's just going to go straight through up to here. We're blocking this off from having really anything, so it's still like a conduit, but not all that important. Okay, so same thing with this. Everything up here is just going up into here, so everything's funneling up to here. So let's write something in here. We're going to write in here, say, Japanese geisha doll is carrying a tray of tea. The bamboo trees in the background sway. Okay, so now we're just doing a basic text prompt. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and hit this Q prompt. You'll notice that now this says number 1 over here. Let me make sure you can see that. Yeah, okay. See, that's number 1. I can move this around. Okay, and you can see it's funneled all here. Now you've got this is green here. So that means everything is funneled through. It's got here, and now it's actually generating the image. If we wanted to change this up, again, we could change the value of width. We could change the value of height, okay? We could add more frames. We could go down here. We could change the type of model. We've got an anime. There's a hentai. There's whatever. We can do that up. This VAE, you don't need to worry about that. Just keep that there. That keeps the image really nice, okay? So all this other stuff, again, you don't need to worry about. It's just kind of the back end. So you'll notice it's moved through here, it created a whole bunch of images, and then it's put it together, and there's our output. That's really pretty. That's really nice, isn't it? That was simple. Okay. Now, I believe there's a seed in here. So you can look around. Seed basically makes sure that you get something different or the same every time. But you can look around. You can play with these things. You just don't really need to do a whole lot. Just like the other GUI that we were using, if you want to add different models, all you got to do is, let's get over there. All you got to do, is go to your File Explorer. You go to your ComfyUI folder. You go to Models, Checkpoints, okay? And then you download something from Civitai. So you go back over to your browser. You go to civitai.com, and then you look for SD 1.5 models. Okay. Now a lot of these, like I said, they're anime, they're hentai, but there's a few that are normal ones as well. You just hit there. You can go over here, click on checkpoints, and then you can just click these SD 1.5, and it'll just bring up all the checkpoints. So you find one that you want, you download it. Maybe you like this one, this Silver Star or something like that, okay? You download it, put it in your folder over here, and then when you load up your ComfyUI, it'll show up over here, and then you can just kind of drill through it. So let's try this one, this sushi mix one, okay? So we're going to try another model. Let's go ahead, same thing. We're going to hit Q prompt. Notice it goes number 1. Shot through here, it gets back up to the sampler. Okay. Now I could have turned the steps down. That would have made it go a little bit faster. But again, the more steps you go, the smoother the animation, the greater the width and height, the better graphics, the better resolution, all this kind of stuff. Now you're going to notice though that this is going to pop up. And it's going to be a different style because we used a different checkpoint over here. Okay, so it's created the images. Why did it create a dog? That's weird. Why did it do that? For some reason it used this over here. That's weird. Why did it do that? Huh. Okay, let's click generate again. I just create the same thing. Interesting. Okay, so for some reason my system's glitching out. It actually did create the animation, it just didn't put it in the preview box correctly. So that was what we got from the others. So how I discovered that it was a software issue was I went over to my File Explorer, and I went to here. I went to my ComfyUI folder, and I clicked on Output, and then I could see that it actually created it. Okay, and then I just clicked on it. And it was there. So for whatever reason, sometimes softwares do that. That's not a bad thing that happened to us, because you know what? We learn different things. So probably what I would do here is I'll just go ahead and clear the space. We go like that. Then all we have to do is click load. Okay, we go back to where we installed this thing. Whoops, I did it under staging, comfy, and then you just grab this JSON. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see that. You would then just click on your JSON, and then it would load it back up again. Okay, one thing that we can do here, if I can get us back to our browser, is notice this one is running. We had this running to here. We could actually just skip that and put it straight up to there. Notice it went up straight to there. Okay, and this is where this gets a little bit complicated, because there's a lot of redoing wires. It's kind of like, you know, how those ladies that worked as the operators back then, they're plugging wires and stuff. So you're doing a lot of that. It's kind of like you're an electrician here. So this was going to here, and it was fine. This was a passive conduit, but maybe we just skipping it out and putting it straight up there. Okay, regardless, what we have done now is we have learned how to do static stuff. We plug it in, put our words in, it goes through here, we choose our model that we want to use, and then it does our output. Okay, saves it in the output folder. Now let's go ahead and let's look at something we're doing over here. This is ControlNet. Now notice when we're doing text stuff, you can't necessarily guarantee the way that it comes out. But notice over here we have a depth, it's called a depth image, and notice how it came out in that same format. Okay, now notice what we did. Notice all this stuff is unhighlighted. Okay, so before it was like this. Notice I'm going to click bypass. These were all purple like this. Okay, so all I got to do is we just right click on this one. We're going to first do a depth map. Okay, so it's going to put it here. What we can do is we need to get a picture first. So what we're going to do before we do anything else, let's go over to, we'll go to cognibuild.ai/blog, and I'm going to give you some sample stuff to use. Okay, if it ever loads up. Okay, and it's going to bring us up to my site here, and we're just going to click here where it says ControlNet sample images. So go ahead and save each one of these. Okay, we've got our depth, our Lineart, and our OpenPose. We're going to use all of these in this project. Okay, so go ahead and save those. And then what we'll do is go back to where we are working on this. Okay, and here's what we are going to do. You see, you got all these purples. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on here, and we're going to click bypass. And notice it's going to undo it. Okay, so this is where we're going to load an image. So what we do is we just click here, go to where you saved your file, and we're going to add it. Okay, so you'll notice that it has now been added there. Okay, don't worry about this dog over here. That's just a remnant of something else we were doing. Okay, but now what we got to do, notice it starts here. This is where it starts, but it's got to go out somewhere. Okay, so what we wanted to do is we're going to grab this blue, okay, and we are going to throw it over here to the image. Okay, so we'll put it to here. Notice the other one was going there. Don't worry about all this other stuff, okay? But we're going to throw it to here, and it's going to pop back up to over here. You can move these around if you can't figure out where stuff is going. So image is going to go into here. Now we need to right click on this and click bypass to undo it, because now we need this. This is our ControlNet. When we were just doing our prompt stuff over here, we didn't need it. Okay, but this one we're going to need it. So we go from image to image. Okay, this is already set up, and then the conditioning is going to shoot it out to our sampler where it's created. Now, this thing here, our advanced ControlNet model, we have to make sure this is on the right thing. You're going to notice this says depth. We've got canny, depth, OpenPose, software. So we're going to click on this. You see OpenPose. We're not going to worry about soft edge. What we want is canny, depth, OpenPose. So for this one, we're going to choose depth, because this is called a depth map. Okay, then we can go in here and we can write something in our prompt. We'll scroll up into here and we'll write an image of a Japanese geisha kung fu master. You can tell the force she has in her Kai energy or whatever. I don't know, some silly thing like that. Okay. And we could also put something like her face is painted like Avatar from the cartoon. I don't know, something like that. Okay. So now what it's going to do is it's going to load everything up into our sampler, but it's going to actually take this first. It's going to go here and it's going to use this as a way to assure that we get an image that we want. Now let's make sure our images are turned down. I'm going to actually make the height or the width bigger and the height a little smaller. And just for the sake of brevity, I'm going to turn the steps down. So it's going to be a low quality thing, but it should go faster. Okay. And then we just go ahead and hit Q prompt. Okay, so it said required input is missing, conditioning. Okay, so when you get a message like that, it means that something's missing. So what we got to do is, you see the conditioning here. We're going to go ahead and take our conditioning and we're going to put it to there. Okay, so we have to rewire some stuff. Oops. Let's go ahead and make sure this goes up to here. Okay. Now if we hit Q prompt, now it's able to flow. So our prompt is going to go over to here. Our image goes to here. Our prompt goes to here. And then it's going to send it up here. We can see it sampling. Again, it's a little confusing. You just have to figure out what goes to what. Now, a trick is, if you're never sure where something is, you can click it and notice all these other stuff are not highlighted. So you can look for the ones that are highlighted if you're just trying to figure it out. For this, we know that all of this down here is our ControlNet stuff. Okay? So we know that it's got to go over to here. So this is almost done. And we're going to get an image here in a second. There we go. Okay. So now notice she's not going to move because it's going to force this image. Now you could do something like her eyes are shifting back and forth, or maybe her hair is blowing in the wind, that kind of thing. Okay, but for the most part, she's just going to stay the same because we're forcing it into this image. This does open up a cooler issue that later on down the road, what you can do is send in a series of these. So say you slightly moved this depth map with the hands going in and out, and so every time it would it could actually make a very detailed one. That's for another project. Right now we're just trying to get some basic images that change. Can you notice her clothes is changing? You could just prompt that in there and that would probably stay the same as long as you prompted enough. Okay, so there we go. We've used a depth map. Let's go ahead now and let's choose another one. Let's go ahead and grab let's grab our OpenPose. So here we've got one. Okay, so this is called an OpenPose model now. And there are ways that, especially using SD Forge, where you can actually drag these to show. You can make these very cool. But you put this in here. Now we're going to go up here to where it says Load Advanced ControlNet Model, and we're going to change this to make sure it says OpenPose. So with this one, let's do the same thing. An image of a Japanese Kung Fu master. So her hands are going to be different. You can see her hand will actually be up here. And there's it's going to be the same idea, but a little bit different. Okay, let's say she's wearing a red dress. Notice it didn't get the face paint on there, but oh well. Okay, so we've got this going over to here. We've got our image going into there, so we're set. Again, we're not worrying about any of this other stuff at the moment because right now we're just using an image. So we're going to go ahead and click Q prompt. It rips all through there. And it starts to generate. Oh, and again, notice we're using our anime thing. We could actually go over here and go back to our Dream Shaper, get a more real one. We'll do that for the next one. Okay, so again, this looks more complicated than it actually is. Okay, it's confused. It's just like looking at a electrical box. It's confusing until you understand what it is, and you realize 80% of this stuff you don't have to touch. You just got to leave it the way it is. What you got to do is just learn the key parts to move. Okay, and really the only things that we're moving are going to be moving is this stuff. Okay, so notice here we go. It created that one. That one's pretty cool. And notice her hands are just like the OpenPose over here. Hand is up, hand is there, face is there. Okay, and again, we'll another time look at some software on how you can actually create these and change them just by moving the stuff. Very cool stuff, this ControlNet. But that's a really cool graphic. Okay, and then that just saves to your output folders. If you wanted to get access to it, you just go over to your File Explorer, and there it is under Outputs. Okay. All right. So let's look at our next one. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the canny stuff. So we'll click on Choose File, Upload again. Okay. This time we're going to grab the one that looks like this. Okay. Now, there are third-party softwares that can create this stuff. We're going to look a little bit on how to make, over here, we're going to have stuff for how to make your own depth map, but you can get this stuff online too. Upload a photo you want, it can create it. You can do this in SD Forge. Eventually, I'll add it to this workflow so you can just do it that way. It's just the main thing, I like to make stuff that's a little easier to use, and the more I add to this, the more complicated it gets, but you guys are smart, so we're going to figure this out. So let's go with this one. And we'll say, we'll keep it Image Japanese Geisha, we'll still say Kung Fu Master. Let's see what it says. It says, she has a battle bird perched on her arm. The bird is multicolored, I don't know, whatever. With reds and greens and golds. And let's say with flashing. Let's see if that does anything. Okay. Okay, and so then we're going to make sure we go up here to our ControlNet mode, and we're going to click this to get over to this one that says lineart.path. Okay, so that's the one that we're going to want. Then we just go ahead, we're going to click Q prompt. We've got our thing in there. It's going to go ahead. It's up to here. This is here. I was screwing around with something else here while we were on pause for a second, but it's going to go ahead and start going through that. It's going to use this ControlNet to force this image. So this is really good. This works actually really good with single images as well. Like if you just have an image that you say, I just want to change some certain elements about the image, but keep it all the same, you can just prompt it into that. Another thing that you can do with this, if you remember, we have our Alpha 1, program, which our Joy Caption, that's the word I was looking for, that you could actually throw the image in there and get a really precise prompt, and then you throw this in here and you're going to get exactly the same thing. So notice we've come up here and we have our image. Now this doesn't look great on her face because remember we turned the steps down, but the point is you can see we have recreated that image using the Lineart. Okay, and then, you know, all depending on your prompt, you can change this up. You could be like, in the background is a car driving by, blah 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 blah. So we're gonna because we're forcing it into one image, she's not really going to change, nor is the bird, because it's always going to do it like this. So the Lineart one is very precise. Obviously that's more precise than using the depth model, which gives a lot more to the imagination. But this is really good for when you want to get the exact picture. I mean, look at that. That is basically the exact thing, same thing with some aesthetic changes to it. Okay, so we've worked through this. We have created a depth map of, we've used depth map, we've used OpenPose, and we've used Lineart. Okay, all those things you can use some third-party softwares if you want to create them as well. You can just go on over to here. Where's that at? We just go on over to the Patreon site, patreon.com/cognibuild. Okay, and you can go over here to the shop, and there are packs that I have of a whole bunch of these. So this one has 1,300 different poses in it. Okay, this one's got 45. So these all come with different memberships. So like if you're a farmhand member, you can get these for free. Okay, you get a ton of models. If you're a prairie dog member, you can get these ones here, these OpenPose ones. So again, they look like this. Let me show you the full kind of catalog of what I've got going on over here. Let's go to poses, and you can see, look, I've got all these folders of different different stuff. Here's some people walking, and you see you've got open pose forms. You've got some depth ones. Okay, it really depends. The Lineart ones, sometimes they're there. Here's someone playing rock, paper, scissors. Okay. So you could make a game out of this where you're generating the stuff. So if you just want to kind of, again, get going fast, you can grab these pose packs and then just throw that into your Comfy workflow, just the way that I showed you. And those are available, as I said, here at the Cogni Build, the Patreon, the Get Going Fast site, and it's just under the shop. So you can either join as a member and get these for free, or you can just buy them as a one-time sort of deal. Okay, so let's go ahead, and now what we want to do is we want to play with using a video. Okay, so sometimes what we do is we've used a single image. Sometimes we want to use a video to recreate the video. So what we're going to do is we have to get rid of, let's move this out of here so we can kind of see where the lines are going. We're going to right click on load image, and we're going to click bypass. Okay, so there you go. Now what we're going to do, we're going to go down here to where it says load video. We're going to right click bypass, and it's going to undo it. Okay, so now what it's done is it has freed up this one. This one will be bypassed. So what we're going to do is, notice this has an image button too. It's going over here. What we're going to do, we're going to worry about this in a minute. What we're going to do is just grab this, and we're going to put it up here to our advanced ControlNet. Now notice it deactivated this one. Okay, so now we're going over here. We're not going to worry about this. We could actually just grab this from here and undo it for now. Okay, it would be fine because it would just go to nothing. But just for the sake, so you can see what's going on, we're going to see that we're going to load a video. Same thing, to choose video to upload button. It's going to go to here. Okay, we're just going to have the same thing. We're going to go over here to depth map. We're probably going to use depth. Okay, and same thing, it's going to pop it up to here. So let's go ahead and find a video. So I'm just going to click it. At the beginning, we're going to just do one that without worrying about the depth map. We're just going to put a straight video in there. So here's this one of Wonder Woman. Okay, so let's say I'm going to put in here a close-up, an image of a Japanese geisha kung fu master smiling at the crowd. Okay, so we've got this image of Wonder Woman, okay, but we want to change it into a video of this Japanese geisha. Now, same thing, we're going to keep this on depth map, even though this technically is not a depth map. We're going to be able to make one over here later, but we're going to go ahead and just put this in as is. Okay, it's going to go through here, it's going to go up to here, it's going to generate. So I'm going to change the height and make it, so I'm going to make it taller and less wide. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and click the Q prompt. So same thing, it's loaded through all here, it's up to here, and it's going to K-sample. Now this will take a little bit longer because it's actually, instead of just using a single image, it's actually going to take the video and it's going to break it down into a whole bunch of different files and use it. So remember how when I was talking about with the single images, you know, you got the picture of the girl. It's always going to be the girl with the bird, right? Well, with this, it's, imagine that it's 1,000 of these or 100 of these. So every time she moves, it's creating a new image, and it's going to generate each one of those. Okay, so it's going to put it down here. Now there it goes. There's the Japanese girl. Notice she's moving in similar manner to Wonder Woman. That's pretty cool. Okay, same thing. We could go over here. We could change up this. We could do, let's do this animated hentai one, and let's go ahead and hit Q prompt. Okay, so that actually, this one isn't going to be there. That's, you got to be logged in to download. So let's go ahead and do the sushi mix here. Okay, we're going to hit Q prompt. Same thing. It's going to load up. And it's going to do it. So essentially what it's doing is it's using this as a depth map. Okay, so it's kind of doing it on the fly. So that's a nice quick way to do a video to video, essentially. Okay, if we want it to be more precise, we're going to create our own depth map, which is what we're going to do over here in just a second. And I'll show you how that works. As soon as this is done, so it's gone ahead and created the images, and it popped up, and then notice now it's in an anime version. Okay, because we changed the model. That's pretty cool, huh? All right, so now let's say we want to get a little bit more precise. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this depth crafter over here. So what we do is we're going to have to rewire some things. So normally our video would go to here. Okay, but instead we're going to grab it and we're going to throw it over to here. Now we need to undo these, so we're going to right click on bypass, we're going to right click on bypass, and we're going to right click on bypass. So it's going to go through here, it's going to get all the settings. These are the this is basically the models. That's going to load into here, it's going to load to here, and then it's going to come over to here and it's going to actually create the depth model that we want. Okay. So if you notice, when it gets here, it goes over here to where it combines the images. But what we want to do is we don't want it just to, this is an end point. So we also want to take these images, because it's going to make a bunch of images, and we want to throw it over to here. So notice with these other ones, we were going straight from image to image. We were going straight to here. Now we're adding a whole other element into this. So we're throwing it over here saying, create an actual depth map off of this. Before it just used this, but it's going to say, create a depth map. Go over to here, create the images, go ahead and combine it so we can see what it looks like and we can save it for later use. But also, so we got one going here, also send it over here. And we're going to use those, and then that will go ahead and kick everything out to our sampler. So let's go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to just click Q prompt. It says Q size 1. Okay, so now this is going to take a while. This process is a little bit of a longer one because, again, we're not just creating the video at this point. We're actually creating a depth map. Okay, and it's going to look it's going to look like the one that's just kind of an ambiguous shadow. Okay, but this does take a while. This can take a few minutes, but this is going to be good for you later on in your projects when you really want a depth map. Okay, so you can go online and find places that you can do it third party, or you can do it here in the app. It's all going to take about the same amount of time, and again, really depends on your processor speed. So we're going to go ahead and pause this because this does take a few minutes, and we'll be right back. Okay, so this finished. Now I did change it out because it turned out the image that the video I had, it didn't like it for some reason. I think it was the way that I had encoded it, but I went ahead and grabbed this one to Johnny Cash over here. Okay, and you're going to notice it ran through it and it created the depth map. Okay, so then when I went up here, notice it recreated it. Okay, and it created it really well. Okay, and that's the power of using a depth map. Now later on, if I want to reload this back into here, I could just click choose video to upload. Let's see, let's get you so you can see what's going on here. We could go to where we outdid this. I'm kind of laughing at myself because I've got so much stuff going on here. I can't quite remember where I put everything, but it goes to your outputs. Okay, and then there you can see it. It's it would be like that. Okay, so essentially what we did is we ran stuff through here. We created the depth map, it ran it back over, and then it redid our thing. Now in the future, what we could do is we don't have to go run this again. Now that we've got our depth map, we can just grab this connection, put it straight up to our image. We'll go back over here and just, you know, we can actually just click this whole section at the top, and we can go bypass group nodes. So we'll just turn that all off. We don't even have to worry about that. And then now if we do it again, it'll put it up here. Now that is interesting. I said a Japanese geisha. Okay, so I guess it couldn't figure out if it was a guy or a girl. Oh, and I just did that. Let's just say geisha, Japanese geisha girl, smiling at the crowd. Now if we go through here, click Q prompt, it's going to just skip all that. It's going to go a lot faster because it's just going straight up to here. Okay, so what we did is we first used a normal video and we put it up to here, and then it went ahead and created a video off that. Next, what we did is we said, well, let's get a little bit more precise, and that's pretty dang close there, even with the cheeks and everything. What we did is we ran it over this way. We ran the wiring from here over to here, and then we'll keep it there for now, and then we ran the wiring back over again. There we go. Okay, there's our new picture. Okay, and then once we got that, second time we just reloaded the depth map that we already made, put it straight to here, out to there, and then there we go. And that is pretty good. Okay, so really the only things that you have to worry about with this stuff is changing your width, changing your height, your number of frames. You ain't going to worry anything about this one, okay, because that's just your animated model. You can always, if you really get into this and know what you're doing, you can go find other animation modules and you put it in the folder. I'll show you really quick where you'd put those. And you would put those here. We would go to where we installed. We go to our ComfyUI, we go to our models, and then we would just put them under our Animated-Diff models. Okay, so you can figure that out on your own if you want to go ahead and do that. I've cultivated what I thought was the best ones for what we want. Again, you can scroll through your different models that you've got here. Okay, let's see what this one does. Okay, go down here. Here's your prompt. All right, and then all of this is going to shoot on over to here. Now, again, if we don't want to use these things, let's say we just want to use the prompt, we're just going to right click it, bypass it. We're going to bypass. We're going to bypass all this stuff. Okay, and this will just use this as kind of a thing to just go through. It's just not going to bother with whatever's going to go in there. Okay, that's straight prompt. If you want to use the image, undo the image. Okay, and then you've got to take image to image. Okay, so you cut that. Notice it gets rid of this one, so it's either the one or the other. If you want to do a video, you'd bypass that one, and then you would unbypass that, and would pull that one up there. See how it changes. If we want to use a video to get a depth map, well, we could actually do the same thing. If we had an actual image in here and we want to put it over here, you just grab the image, throw it to over here, and then make sure the image is heading back over to here, and we would unbypass that. See, we're just making connections. Now this is kind of weird. So it didn't like this model, or probably because I used it at too low of a resolution, but whatever. So you can see, you just play around with it, get some different stuff. Whoops, we grabbed the wrong. There you go. Okay, just follow your errors. All right, and that's pretty much it. That's all you really need to worry about. Oh, and when you're using your different depth maps, make sure you use the right one. Either depth, Lineart, that's Lineart there, or OpenPose. OpenPose is the stick figures. Okay, again, you can get all of that from the Patreon site. If you want to just get a whole bunch of poses, just go ahead and sign up as a member. You get them for free, or you can buy the Ultra Pack. Or just buy them, whatever. Just click on shop, and you can go down there and get these packs. Okay, same thing with the software. There's your Animated-Diff. You can actually just get, if you're a prairie dog, you can just get this workflow without the graphical user interface. If you're a farmhand member, you get them both. Okay, so you can just go ahead and play with those, and then you're back in here and look at that. Oh, that's kind of pretty. That was a more realistic one. So that is a quick rundown, probably clear as mud. ComfyUI is not the easiest thing in the world to use. Just because you got to know what you're doing, there's things that you need to click. What I like is I like to give you guys stuff that you really don't have to worry about it. But at the same time, you're smart, and I know you want to figure this stuff out. If you want to figure stuff out, go ahead and use this ComfyUI. I have set you up for greatness. Okay, I've set you up really to start you out. You've got everything you need here. Remember, if something pops up and it says that the node ain't working for whatever, just click your manager and go to your install missing custom nodes. Click it and restart it. You're going to be fine. Otherwise, everything else is going to just load in perfectly for you. Ain't going to be an issue. I'm looking for buttons here. And you're ready to go. Okay, so if you have any questions, hit me up on the Discord. I'm happy to help you. Ask me some questions here on YouTube. I'm happy to be there for you. And if you're a member, I'll give you some even more extended time. I'll absolutely be certain to make sure this is 100% working for you. So at any rate, you guys stay good. We're going to leave her there. I'm going to get some water because I just been talking nonstop and my throat's a little sore. So in the meanwhile, you guys enjoy this and show me what you're working on. You know, the safer work stuff. Let me see that stuff. I'd love to see what kind of projects you're doing. In the meanwhile, you stay good and we will catch you on the other side. Yo.